All right, so today we're diving into Slavoj Žižek's The Puppet and the Dwarf. And this is a book that tries to do something that sounds, well, impossible. You've got Žižek, who is a hardcore atheist and materialist philosopher, and he makes this wild argument that to really understand our world today, you have to go right through the heart of Christianity. Now, he's not trying to convert anyone, not at all. He's trying to show that the Christian story itself holds this radical, kind of perverse truth that, honestly, most people, believers and non-believers, completely miss.
And boom, here it is, the book's central and, let's be honest, pretty shocking claim. So for Žižek, a dialectical materialist, which is just a fancy way of saying someone who thinks reality is all material stuff, but it unfolds through all these crazy contradictions, the Christian experience isn't something you can just brush aside. He says it's actually a necessary step to really get a grip on reality. So how on earth can faith be the path to atheism? That's the core puzzle we're about to unpack.
So that's the big question, right? How does an atheist philosopher even begin to rewrite the meaning of faith? But to answer it, Žižek doesn't start with ancient, dusty texts. Nope, he starts with us, right here, right now, and the really strange way we handle belief in the modern world.
Come on, we've all heard this, haven't we? Or maybe even said it ourselves. You know, you put up a Christmas tree, you go to family events, you follow traditions, but if someone asks, you say, "Oh, I don't really believe." Well, Žižek argues that this isn't a lack of belief. It's a very specific, very modern way of believing.
And he gives it a name, suspended belief. It's like belief at a distance. We don't have to take it seriously ourselves. We just respect it as part of our culture, our lifestyle. Culture becomes this convenient catch-all term for all the things we do without actually believing in them. And Žižek has this perfect and very sharp example of how this all works.
So, remember the global outrage when the Taliban blew up those ancient, massive Bamiyan statues in Afghanistan? People in the West, most of whom are not Buddhists, were absolutely horrified. We saw it as a terrible attack on cultural heritage.
But here comes Žižek's provocative twist. He asks, why were we really so outraged? He suggests it's because the Taliban dared to take their own beliefs deadly seriously, way more seriously than our polite, arm's-length cultural respect. For them, those statues weren't historical treasures, they were false idols. And in our modern world of suspended belief, anyone who actually believes something directly and acts on it, well, they look like a dangerous fanatic.
Okay, so now that we've got a sense of how belief works today, Žižek takes us into the very heart of Christianity. But he doesn't find simple, pious faith. No, he finds what he calls a perverse core, a kind of divine strategic manipulation that's built right into the story from the very beginning.
I mean, this is the classic question, right? It's stumped people for centuries. If God is all-knowing and all-powerful, why would he put the one thing that's off-limits right in the middle of paradise? Was it some kind of test, an oversight? Žižek says nope, it was a deliberate strategy.
The logic here is just key to the whole thing. Žižek suggests that the command itself, the do not touch, is what actually creates the desire to break the rule. It's a setup. God doesn't just allow the fall to happen, he kind of orchestrates it so that he can then step in as the savior and show his grace. This whole thing introduces this dark strategic element right into the foundation of the Christian story.
And this strategy, it produces a really unique kind of spiritual focus. Žižek pulls from the writer G.K. Chesterton here, contrasting the peaceful, inward-looking gaze of Buddhism with the Christian gaze. And the Christian gaze is this intense, almost frantic staring outward. It's not about finding inner peace. It's about a traumatic, world-shaking encounter with a truth that's outside of you.
This whole perverse strategy thing, it doesn't just stop in the Garden of Eden. It hits its absolute peak in the relationship between Christ and Judas. So when Judas asks if he's the one who will betray Jesus, Jesus doesn't just say yes. He gives this super ambiguous answer. You have said so.
Žižek looks at that line and says, that's not just a passive statement. That's a secret order, a disavowed injunction. Think about it. Christ needs Judas to betray him so the whole mission, the crucifixion, the resurrection, can be fulfilled. So, is he basically manipulating his most loyal follower into being damned for all eternity just for the cause? It's a chilling thought, and it puts this huge ethical knot right in the middle of the story.
And this all leads to the most crucial moment. For Žižek and Chesterton, the real climax of this entire divine drama isn't the resurrection, it's Christ's cry from the cross. My God, why have you forsaken me?" In that moment, God himself feels abandoned. For a second, God becomes an atheist, And that, they argue, is the truly radical event in Christianity.
Okay, so we've seen how transgression and, well, perversion are kind of at the heart of Christianity. So now, Žižek does what he does best. He flips the whole script again. He argues that in our modern world, the real act of rebellion isn't to break the rules at all. It's to embrace orthodoxy. This quote from Chesterton just turns our entire modern way of thinking on its head. We hear orthodoxy and we think safe, boring, restrictive. But Chesterton says, you've got it all wrong. It's the most thrilling and dangerous adventure you could ever have.
So, why? Why is it so daring? Because for Chesterton, morality isn't just a stuffy list of thou shalt nots. It's a radical conspiracy to build and defend a sane world against the constant threat of total cosmic chaos and madness. Just holding things together, that is the truly rebellious act.
So, how does this apply to us? I mean, look around. Our culture is saturated with this command to enjoy, to transgress, to break every single boundary. Being a rebel has actually become the new conformity. So if everyone is a transgressor,
then what does a real rebellion even look like? And here, Žižek applies Chesterton's logic and asks this amazing question. In a world where transgression is basically mandatory, what if the most subversive, daring, and truly radical thing you can do is commit to something traditional, like a lifelong marriage? Maybe true commitment is the new transgression. So how does all of this belief, perversion, rebellion actually connect to our own lives? Well, in this final part, we're going to bring it all home to our modern obsession with happiness and how Žižek believes we've got it completely backward.
Chesterton offers this idea he calls the doctrine of conditional joy. The magic of fairy tales, he says, is that there's always a catch. Cinderella can go to the ball, but only if she leaves by midnight. That limit, that veto, isn't a buzzkill. It's the very thing that makes the experience so magical. It reminds us that happiness is this fragile, miraculous gift, not something we're just entitled to. And this quote just puts it perfectly. The act of choosing, of renouncing all the other possibilities out there to commit to one person, isn't really a loss. It's the very thing that allows you to truly see and appreciate the one you've chosen. The limitation is what creates the depth of the experience.
And this leads to Žižek's final, crucial point. Happiness, at least the way we think about it, is a comfortable dream. It's about chasing things we think we want, but maybe don't really want. The thing that shatters this cozy illusion, the thing that wakes us up, is our true, often difficult and uncomfortable desire. We are constantly told to pursue happiness at all costs. But Žižek leaves us with this really unsettling question. What if that frantic, endless search for happiness is actually the most sophisticated defense mechanism we have? A way to keep ourselves busy, to keep dreaming, so that we never have to confront the terrifying, world-shattering reality of what we truly desire.